welcome to Pigment Showdown. So if you have been following along, you know that I absolutely love granulating colors. I've collected and tested as many as I can get my hands on, but I also know it can be overwhelming to try to pick one, you know, especially if you have a limited budget or you don't have a lot of space. So over the few months, I've been releasing like 1-minute shorts, swatching various granulating colors, especially those in the red brown, the maroon, the red brown, and the orange families. So in today's video, I'm going to bring them all together for a side-by-side comparison. And I'll walk you through how they behave in water, what their pigment makeup, and also what sort of like effect they can produce so that you can, you know, decide which one are worth adding to your collection. I have loosely arranged them from the darkest to the lightest so they can see the value shifts across the colors. I'm gonna talk about the pigment, where they're from, and what sort of pigments being used. So this one over here is called Burgundy Red. This is from Mijello, okay, Mijello Burgundy Red. And it's made up of like PR112, which is a red pigment, and then PG26, which is a kind of a granulating green pigment. And this color, if you look at the mass tone, it's kind of like a plummish, like purple, dark purple color. Okay, then let's move on to these two colors are from White Nights. Okay, and the thing about these two colors is that they are kind of similar. They are all using PG90, which is the green granulating pigment. The only difference is the red that they are using. And for Scarlet, Ruby Mist is PR170. For Scarlet Mist is PR188. Yeah, and you can see that from the colors, they are very bright. They are so much more like brighter than the Burgundy Red over there. This is Daybreak Orange from Holbein Granulating series. This one is made of 3 pigments, as you can see, PR254, okay, and then there's PG50, like a turquoise, and then there's a PO73. So the one that causes the granulation is the PG50, the turquoise. Over here, okay, so this one. And then finally, we do have like this one from Mijello, and it's called Island Orange. And just to note, like all the Mijello colors do actually have an additional tourmaline to it, okay? For the Island Orange, it's made from PO73, which is an orange pigment, and PB28. So PB28 is like your cobalt blue, and it is the one that gives the granulation. Okay, so this is what these are, and you will actually note that there's a repeated use of greenish pigment like the PG26 and then PG19. So these are the greenish granulating pigments. They contribute to the very strong green separation. On the left hand side, they are mainly the colors with PB28 and PG50. They kind of produce more the orange blue separation. So I'm not gonna like reproduce the reels in fully in over here. What I'll do is I'll link them at the description box below so that you can go and click into them and kind of look at them in your free time. But I will just kind of mention like what sort of tests we do. So this is the mass tone, all right? And here is the paint to water test. This is the water to paint test. Here's the gradient test. And then we have the spot chromatography, the salt texture test. So here's what I found. So for these two colors over here, the two colors from White Nights, with the Scarlet Mist and the Ruby Mist, I find that the green pigment tend to separate very, very quickly. So you will see them sink down the moment the brush like kind of hits the paper, as you can see here. Like you can actually see the brush stroke, okay? And then like the really dramatic like separation, it just kind of, the green pigment drops down to the paper with the brush, and then that red just kind of like floats around and just diffuse around that water. So that gives you a very like big dramatic separation. And the same thing here, like when you put water in there, it pushes away the lighter particles like the red. So you can also see that in the gradient test. Okay, so if you want like really dramatic differences like granulation, separation, these are the two that you need to think about. The other three are what I call the more subtle but complex ones. So if you kind of look at the separation, let me move this around, you'll see that they don't have such a dramatic like difference as compared to these two. Like you don't see them like separate so much. But you do see like there's kind of like an intermediate like layer going on. So you do see that like the most heavy pigment dropping down according to the brush stroke, And then you do have like an intermediate layer, like it's kind of in between that green and the lighter pigment, the red or the orange color. And I think that is really beautiful. It's subtle and it's very complex. And I think I really like the Daybreak orange, as you can see from here. So it really surprises me because yes, 3 pigments, okay? And that, like, including that 28 PB28, and it has a very delicate interplay between warm and cool tone. And in the salt test, you do see that blue just kind of dropping down, and that red, yeah, it's just like a wild, very wild separation. Yeah, but it's not loud. It is very complex, okay? Yeah, so I don't know how they did this, but this is really quite surprising for me. When should you use these colors? I think these colors are fantastic, you know, for painting old temples, shop houses, or like brickworks. You see like big buildings with bricks, all different colors of bricks, and also like wooden structures like doors, like a window frame, stuff like that. It's also good for like fruits, like reddish, brownish fruits like prunes, plums, pomegranate, figs. And I think they're also good for rustic elements. So if you are painting any of these, I think these would be very good for it. But if you are doing like clean, modern buildings, they might feel too gritty or like too moody for it. And if you're after like a pop of granulating red, like for example, these two from White Nights would be just right for it, especially like in a lantern at the temple, or like some decorative element. And those in the like orange leaning tones, they are actually more versatile, but they are still quite expressive without like overwhelming the composition. Okay, I painted the still life using all the 5 pigments so that I can see how each color looks on the same piece side by side under the same lighting and paper conditions. So it's easier to spot the differences between granulation, separation, and overall characteristic at one glance. Both the Scarlet and Ruby Mist were used on the pomegranate, especially the Ruby Mist being more blue. I thought it would suit the seeds better, so I used it on the seeds. And Burgundy red is actually used to kind of harmonize the whole piece because it's kind of like a dark shadow color. So it's used on all the shadows, on the plums, on the grapes. And for the Daybreak orange, I use it on the skin of the fig and the flesh of the fig. Whereas for the island orange, it's mainly for the persimmon. And also the bold. As you can see, certain colors do live better than others. Probably depends on how staining the pigments are, which you can refer to the pigment information in the individual reels. And they can also layer really well, as you can see over here, the layering, right? And over here. Finally, which one should you buy? So if you are into like bold separation and strong contrast in that color, go for the White Nights, the Ruby or the Scarlet, depending which one. Ruby is the one with the more Ruby is the one that's more like blue leaning. So if you like something more warm, you can go to Scarlet Mist. And if you are looking for like things that has like subtle transition and harmony, you can go for the Mijello Island Orange or the Burgundy Red. Okay, not in your face, but you do see that beautiful separation. And I think a good middle ground is actually the Daybreak Orange because yeah, it's nice. You see that color separation. They do give you quite a lot of complexity, but it does not give you like chaos, like texture chaos at all. Okay, so do let me know in your comments, are you team red, green, or you team orange, blue? Which one do you think is like more useful? And what do you look for when you choose a granulating paint? Do you look for like the big separation? Do you look for like very visible granulation? Or what else? Yeah, so what's next? This video is part of an ongoing granulation series, and we'll be comparing more colors soon, including like neutrals, blues, and stuff like that. And do let me know what other granulating mixture you would like to see next, because this will help me tailor future pigment showdowns to what you want to see. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and then like share with your friends. And if you like really want to get more advice on granulating colors, do subscribe, okay? Because then you'll get like notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Bye!